Hello, boys and girls. This is strip diagrams, and today we're going to be learning how to create strip diagrams from reading multi-step word problems. So you've already learned that the big strip represents one whole, and the smaller strips underneath work together to make that whole. And we also learned that if I know the big strip, then I'm going to be subtracting or dividing to find those smaller pieces. And if I know the smaller pieces, I'm going to be adding to multiplying to find the big piece. So there's a few of these questions I'm going to go over with you. I am not going to go over every single one of them, but there's a good 4 of them that show different ways. And so this is going to help us with our thinking about what we're reading and thinking about what the question is asking us. This one says, Miss Dower spent $105 at 2 stores. So already I'm thinking about going in stores and I'm buying maybe Christmas gifts because of this time of the year, maybe something here. She spent $65 at the first store. What did she spend at the second store? Draw a strip diagram for this problem. So we're going to have to draw a strip diagram. When you're drawing strip diagrams, try to see, do I know the whole or am I looking for the whole? The whole is the total. Well, let me see what it says here. She spent $105. She did part of that was $65. And we don't know what the second part, what did she spend at the second store? So here's that question here. What did she spend at that second store? We don't know. So do we have the whole here? We know how much money she spent total. So the first strip, the big strip, is going to represent what makes the whole. And we know she started out and that's how much money she spent altogether. Now she used part of this money and she went to 2 separate stores. So she spent, the first part, she spent about $65, it says, at one store. So out of this money, that's how much she used. Then, we don't know how much she spent at the second store, so that's our unknown, or our X. So then, since we're looking for something smaller, and if you need to pause this video, I want you drawing this as I'm drawing this, and creating it as I'm making it, because that's what we're going to be practicing today. So, as I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and solve for this. So, if I'm going from something big to something small, I know that I'm thinking we're going to be subtracting and we're going to be dividing. But are we putting into equal groups? If I put 65 over here and 65, I know that's way more than 100. So I know that this isn't equal groups. So then I must be subtracting. So then we're going to subtract that. 5 minus 5 is 0. More on the floor. Go next door. Get 10 more. 10 minus 6 is 4. So that's where 40 comes up. Now, we can check this because both of these have to add up to 105. So this represents 105. And so the whole piece right here, and I'm just highlighting that so you can see it, is $105. So then to check that, we're going to add these two. 65 plus 40. If we add that, do we get 105? Yes, we do. So at the second store, what did she spend? The answer would be $40. Okay. Now that one's just to kind of get your feet wet. Let's look at a few more of these and see how our strip diagrams change. But notice, if I can recognize if I'm finding the whole or if I'm looking for the whole, strip diagrams are going to be easier for you and they're going to be your best friend. So, oops, I did not want to do that next problem because it's kind of cut off. Yeah, let me make sure because that went up pretty quick. Yeah, I kind of had cut that off. But let's look at this one. Sophia and Donovan go out to lunch. They each have a cheeseburger and a Coke. They spend a total of $25 on lunch. I hope you're thinking. The cheeseburgers cost $10 each. What was the cost of the Cokes? Draw a strip diagram representing the problem. So we're going to draw a strip diagram to represent this problem here. That's what we're going to do. So what do we need to know? I need to know what's kind of going on. They went out to eat, two friends, and we know they spent a total of $5, because eventually what we're trying to find here is what was the cost of the Cokes. We want to know how much the Cokes cost. Well, it says that they spent a total of $25. That total gives me a very big clue here. The whole amount is $25. I know that each of them have a cheeseburger and a Coke. Okay? They spent a total of $25. So each of them. So when I say each, I know there are two people. So two people had cheeseburgers. So I'm going to put a C in here to let me know those are cheeseburgers. Whoops. CB for cheeseburgers. And they each had a Coke. So that's kind of helping me. So I know that this money went to 2 cheeseburgers and 2 Cokes, and that's where that money was spent. So I was able to separate this into 4 parts to make that 25. If you need to pause the video and think about that, that'll be just great, okay? The cheeseburgers cost $10 each. I like to infer that one cheeseburger costs $10. Each at a time, we infer that number 1. So I know this cheeseburger costs $10, and I know this cheeseburger costs $10. Can we then find the cost of the Cokes? Well, are these pieces big or small that we're looking for? They're smaller than the total, so that we know that to get to this, it's going to be less than that 25. So we're either going to subtract or we're going to divide. But down here, if you remember from our last lesson, let's take out this piece right here and let's see how much we have spent. Well, if each cheeseburger costs $10, then this piece right here is 10 plus 10 is 20. So we know that out of this, if I know, can I find out what this big piece is right there? Well, if I know this entire piece, and I'm going to highlight it in blue so you see it, this entire piece has to add up to 25, then I know that these 2 pieces right here, I know this is skip, have to be 5, because 25 minus the 20 for the burgers, I have $5 left. But if I want to know what is the cost of the Cokes, so the cost of the Cokes is $5, but I could even take this further. Okay, I know that the 2 Cokes cost $5, and I'm splitting them into equal groups. Oh, so if I'm splitting them into equal groups, I'm going to, and you've practiced this before, we're going to divide it by 2. Okay, now this one's kind of weird, but you got to kind of think of money. And I'm going to pull this out in a way because we're not used to. So we're not used to thinking of putting $5 into half. But how many 2's go into 5? 2. We get 4. And we have a remainder of 1. So we have $2 with a remainder of $1 left over. Can we split $1 in half? What? How much is half of $1? I bet you got it. 50 cents. So then each piece could cost, well, they each cost, we had to split that $2 up between the both of them. Now we had to split that $1. So each Coke was $2.50. So that was a challenging one right there. But most of us, if we think of money, we can split that $5 up into half. And we see that that's $2.50. So I could take it even. The cost of the Cokes were $5. Each Coke was $2.50. So I just wanted to take it down a little bit further for you. But strip diagrams, I could automatically see, oh, those 2 have to be the same as this amount, And those amounts have to be equal. So going from something big to something small, I know I'm either going to divide or subtract. So strip diagrams kind of draw that picture for you if you can think of what makes that whole. Okay. Let's look at this question because this one even is a little bit different. And I like the ones that make us do things different to make our brains really thinking and our brains are growing and we're getting, you know, just so much smarter in our problem solving. Jonas bought 8 packs of gum. Each pack has 12 pieces of gum. How many pieces of gum does he have total? Draw the strip diagram. So we know we're going to be drawing that strip diagram to represent this problem. The question the problem is asking us is how many pieces of gum does he have total? Pieces of gum. So do we know what our big strip is here? We haven't had one like that, have we? We don't know what our big strip is because we don't know the total. So I'm going to make this big strip and I'm going to put a question mark in it because I don't know. But we do know something. He bought 8 packs of gum. So I know that this total represents 8 packs. So I'm going to put this into 8 equal parts. And obviously you guys know I'm not a very good art teacher, or these would be a lot equal, but they're not. But you're going to pretend these are equal. 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I put them into 8 parts. And 1 pack. So these are my 8 packs. This is a pack of gum. This is a pack of gum. And I have 8 packs that's going to make that total. Because that's what it's saying. 1, we put 1 on top of each. 1 pack has 12 pieces of gum. So what are we going to put into each of these? You got it. 12. So we understand these problems now. If we're going from something small to something big, we're either going to multiply or we're going to add. And looking at that, we have repeated addition. That's the same as multiplication because these are in equal groups and we're adding the same amount. So then we can take 12 times how many packs there are, which are 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So then the question is how many pieces of gum does he have total? 96 pieces of gum. That's a lot of gum to be sharing out. Okay. So I really like how strip diagrams kind of just give you that overall picture. If you can find, I keep saying this over, I can't stress it enough. Find what makes the whole, or if you know the whole or not, and work backwards from there. Okay? If you know the total, put it in there. If you don't know the total, go ahead and put it in there and see what they're doing to it until you figure out. Okay. And I think that there is one more I wanted to share with you and do with you. Yes. This one is Serenity. Has a weight of 10 pounds in her backpack. Her math book is 3 5/10 pounds. Her writing book is 2 7/10 pounds. What is the weight of the rest of the things in her backpack? So, draw a strip diagram. We're practicing drawing that strip diagram to help us answer this problem. So what we need to do is, what's the question asking us to find? What is the weight of the rest of the things in her backpack? So to know what's going on with her backpack, it's got to tell me some stuff about the weight. Serenity has a weight of 10 pounds in her backpack. In her backpack, there are 10 pounds. Can you guess what that is? if you said that's the total, that's the whole, that's your big strip, you are correct. Because it's saying, it's talking about we're wanting to find out the things that are in our backpack and how much they weigh. Well, 10 pounds is what she has. Her math book is 3 5/10 pounds. And you'll see me say 3.5 a lot because 5/10, if you write that as a fraction, 3 5/10, remember that's our whole, this is our fractional part. That's 3 5 out of 10 to write that as a fraction. 5/10 is half, so we're thinking 3.5 pounds. But I just like to tell you that because we say that. So part of what's coming out of that weight is a math book that is 3 5/10 pounds. So that's important. Her writing book, she has another book in there. Her writing book, and it's 2 7/10 pounds. What is the weight of the rest of the thing? So everything else that's in that backpack weighs something. We don't know what it is. There's our strip diagram. Now, we've talked about these a lot. We know that when we do these, first we're going to find out how much weight so far is being taken up. So we're going to add 3 5/10 plus 2 7/10. 7 5 is 12. Bring down my decimal. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. So I know, and I just kind of do this so that you see, but from here to here is 6 2/10. But we still don't know what this piece is right here. Well, we know the whole thing is 10. And I hope that you remembered and we did enough practice. But remember, this is where they like to trick you, is when we're dealing with decimals and whole numbers. Remember, the whole is going to be your biggest number, okay? It's the total. So when I know, if I'm knowing the whole, that I'm going to subtract or divide to get this smaller piece. Well, I know that these are not in equal parts because I can look and see. So then I must be subtracting. Well, if I know these two things added together are 6 2/10, then I'm going to subtract 6 2/10. But oh my goodness, if you don't put that decimal, you are not going to line them up right and you will miss it. So let's not do that. Let's put our decimal. If the decimal is out of sight, it's on the right. I'm just going to aim this over at my wall just for a second so you can see our poster. Yeah, I have to really go down on there. If the decimal is out of sight, it's on the right. Okay, so we say that a lot. We come back over here, and so since we couldn't see it, that's 6 2/10. I'm going to use a different color because I want you to see that we have to add zeros in those empty spots. That way, when you subtract, you're not going to miss, because right here, can we take 2 from nothing? No, we cannot. And sometimes we see 2 coming down here, and that is not correct because I can't take 2 from nothing. We go next door. Nobody's home. So we have to go to this neighbor's house, and we talk about this as borrowing sugar. But on my way from borrowing sugar, we're going to drop some off at this house, which makes it 9 now because we still take some back with us. And now we have some, which now we have 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 6 is 3. So then this piece is 3 8/10, which was 3 8/10. Now, there is a way for us to check this. 3 5/10, 2 7/10, and 3 8/10 should all work together and add up to be 10. So let's see. 3 5/10 plus 2 7/10, line up those decimals. That's 12. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. But now we're going to add the 3 8/10. 8 plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1. Bring down that decimal. 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10. So we got our total. So then what was the rest of that weight? What was our unknown? The answer is 3 8/10. On your work today, be very careful because they are very multi-step. You're going to have to think through them. What's the whole? Do I know it? What's the part? Take your time. Go back and reread. I have to reread these several times. I know Miss Fuller does too. We don't know things right off our head, and we forget things too. So, making mistakes is part of it. So we just got to keep working together, and that's how our brain grows and gets better, and take those risks.